Hey everybody, welcome again to Grace with Paul Gray. Continuing along in our discussion about what the Apostle Paul called the true gospel, his gospel of grace and the real Jesus, as opposed to what religion taught in Paul's day and unfortunately still teaches, what Paul calls another gospel, another Jesus, a false gospel, a false Jesus. One has a prepaid lifetime subscription, Paul's Gospel and Jesus. The other has a weekly membership fee that you pay each Sunday. One talks about the real good God. The other talks about a fictitious evil God that is double-minded. One focuses on the mind of Christ and what all Jesus has done. The other focuses on a darkened understanding of what we need to do. One focuses on the awareness of what is and what always has been, and the other focuses on what we think was never true about us. So let's just jump into a few of them today. Here's how you can know when you listen to a sermon, when you read a book, when you watch Christian TV, Christian radio, or anybody in a small group or whatever type of setting. Here's how you can know that you're hearing from God, the only true God, and hearing the true gospel. It's always going to focus on restoration. Restoration. Taking ways that we may have felt like we didn't measure up to God and restoring us to our original identity, who God made us to be to begin with. It's always going to focus on restoration. However, if you hear something about God, about how he feels about you and other people, that always focuses on punishment, because you did this, you've got to be punished, or somebody's got to be punished, somebody's got to pay. If you hear something about punishment from God towards you, or punishing yourself, or punishing other people, you know, according to the Apostle Paul, whom I agree with, that's another gospel. That's not the true gospel. That's not the real Jesus. When you hear something about God, about yourself, and about other people that is always beautiful and pleasing, you know that's the real gospel. That's from Jesus. That's not from someone else. You know that. On the other hand, if you hear something that's ugly, something that indicates that God has an ugly side to him, something that seems to say you are ugly or other people are ugly, that's not the real gospel. That's not the real Jesus. Never is. Okay, when you hear something in your mind from somebody else who says something or reads something that focuses on the fact that you and everyone are created in God's image and likeness, all of you are created in God's image and likeness, and that image and likeness has never changed, that's the real gospel. That's from the true Jesus. However, if you hear from anybody in any setting, religious or otherwise, that you are a sinner who is totally depraved, there's nothing good in you, nothing good about you, and there's nothing that can ever be done for you except by you trying to get yourself out of that situation, that's not good news. That's not the real gospel. That's not the real Jesus. That's another sick, perverted gospel. All right, one more. Whenever you hear in your mind or from anybody else, especially in, quote, religious settings, that you are right with God, that you were made right with God from the beginning, from before creation, and that Jesus did everything in his finished work at the cross to help us realize that we are right with God, and that's exactly who we are and where we are, that's the real gospel. That's the real good news for everybody. That's the real Jesus. However, if you hear any voice anywhere saying, you know, you're really disgusting to God, what you do, who you are, just disgust God, He really can't even stand to be in your presence. He can't even stand to look at you. You're disgusting to God. But maybe if you get everything right, by the grace of God, he will cover you with Jesus' blood so he doesn't have to look at you or be around you. That is another gospel. That's a false gospel. It's not true. That's a different Jesus. Don't listen to those voices. All right. As we look at these two things each day, we've been doing it for a while, we're going to do it for a while longer. As you look at these two comparisons, which one of these two portrayals of God can you love? Which one do you long to be with and get to know better? Which one do you want to be around? Which one do you feel comfortable with? Which one is awesome and winsome and inviting? Which resonates with your heart and your spirit? Which makes you happy? Which one inspires joy? Which one do you want to be real? Which seems to really be love, mercy, grace, and compassion? Which one sounds like good news for all people, as the angels prophesied Jesus would be when he was born? And which one do you want to tell your friends about? Some things to think about, my friends. Hey, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.